both in the optimistic camp, and I have a foot in a future dark camp, and I'd like to describe both of those to you. It certainly seems to be the case that we are in a sea of relationships which we don't fully see or understand. Like the garlic example is the sort of thing which surely we're surrounded by, where there are relationships between what we eat and do and our health and all sorts of things which we just don't have insight into. And we could, because we're collecting this data and we're going to be able to analyze it through machine learning systems like the one described. So the short term certainly seems extremely exciting. And I think that's at least as exciting as the invention of a microscope. Where things get a little bit different for me is when you look at interpretability of models like this one, you often discover that the features are actually related to each other in very complex ways. And in order to be accurate, you need to describe some of that complexity. Like, maybe the heavy facedness only works when some other parameters within certain values. In other words, it may be the case that the right hypothesis, the accurate one, is just not very interpretable. It just might be very complicated because that's where reality is. And this is where things get a little bit, maybe not dark, but questionable for me. And that what if our existing means of searching for hypotheses has strongly favored hypotheses that are both simple and easily interpretable? We have a short-term period in which we'll discover more of those, but what if we run out of those? And what if we have to get into a case where we just can't explain the most accurate machine learned systems? In other words, what if astrophysics, if we want to get past the simple equations, which we might know about, just gets really, really complicated and can't be reduced further and isn't interpretable to any human? I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. I'm certainly surrounded by many wonderful researchers who might have a visceral reaction to that. My sense is that it's probably a good thing. Anyway, interesting paper. Thank you.
It is very top of mind for me that the rate limiting step in this type of approach is the human mind, both in its capacity of what it can interpret and its objectivity of what it tends to interpret. And picking up on your dark comment, Ed, I genuinely think one of the things that has been an undercurrent in science is the unreasonable, and I mean just unfathomably unreasonable success we've had in physics. Like people say, oh, quantum mechanics is complicated. Oh, quantum mechanics is not that complicated compared to like anything involving. I mean, we've just had unreasonable success. We've had models that simple equations that we can write down, teach people, can make sense of the quantum world, of the relativistic world, of the Newtonian world. And so I think that has set us up for what I think you're pointing out, Ed, is the collision course, which is what happens, or what should we even do? What should science even look like if we come to the conclusion that actually simple models that we can make sense of are just insufficient to make sense of the social world or the human mind or human brain? What should science look like? Because I think for everything that people say that like science is about testing theories, actually the key thing in that word is not testing, it's the word theories, and everything loaded into that word theories by which we imagine it is human comprehensible, simple things that we operate on. So what should science look? I think it's actually just a very, very hard question. And so Ed, I know you called it dark, but to me, that's kind of one of the big forks in the road that we're going to start rushing towards. And I think these technologies are going to get us there, and we're going to have to ask that question, or maybe we won't. Maybe there will be a simple model. That'd be cool too.